Welcome back. This is Jetfire's Annie 150, and this is Sci Fi Hallway Part 8, creating modular system. So now we were working on the floor panels. Okay, so let's take a look and make sure everything is set up properly. Everything needs to have depth. Okay, so we have depth on this piece. We need depth. We have depth on that. We need depth on this. So let's go ahead and take this time to make sure that we extrude these edges all the way around and add depth. And let's try to keep them about the same depth. So I'm going to go Control E, go to the side view and move that up. Let's go ahead and turn grid snap off. Move that up to match the rest of these. There we go. And let's take a look and see if we have any issues. And of course we have issues. Why wouldn't we have issues? Oh boy, look at that. Alright, so this is when, if you see all this weird stuff going on, all that kind of strange stuff going on, this is what you want to do. Control Z back. And it's extruded. We don't want to use this tool. We just want to use. We don't want to use the manipulator that actually comes with the extrude. Hit the W key and just move it up like that. Okay, so if you get that weirdness going on, hit the W key and you can do the same extrude, same movement. So between the two, between the manipulator that comes with it and the W key, it's really up to you how you want to use it. Now you can see how this has caused me problems, and this is probably something I should have done with this one. But I can fix this. It's not a big deal. So however you want to do it, it's fine with me. So let's go ahead and move that vertex up and just kind of make that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We'll move that over a little bit and that one over a little bit. And so you can fix all this stuff. And again, I don't want to waste your time fixing these things. I'm going to do this off camera, fixing all this stuff. Okay? So, you know, you can do that yourself on your own. Okay? But we want to try to keep the thickness about the same all the way around if we can. Okay? That's the idea. Alright, so let's go to the next one and continue down the row here. See what we got on this one. And the same thing for this. We want to add thickness, add an edge. So let's go ahead and add thickness to this as well. And I think I'm just going to go Control E and hit the W key right away and just move that up. And let's go to the side view and try to keep them all the same. Okay, great. That looks good. Alright, so this will just give us some room for error when we're putting pieces together. Alright, it just gives us room for error. And we can move things up and down if we need to. And if you were to ever sell any of these, which you can't because you're using a student version of Maya, but I have a full version and I pay for it monthly. And it's costly. You could sell it, but you can't sell it unless you use something like Blender. So you'd have to make all your stuff in Blender, then you can sell it and you can do whatever you want. But if you're using Maya, you're not able to use Maya and sell it. Looks like I gotta get rid of some of these faces over here. So I'm just kind of cleaning things up really quick before I move it down, give it an edge. So I'll get rid of some of these pieces that I forgot to do. Here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and double click on that edge. Let's go ahead and F key and just kind of get that framed. We're going to add depth to these grids here that we have on the floor panels, and we're going to go to Control E. And when we see this kind of detail here, we probably want to use the manipulator that comes with it and just kind of finesse and fix these pieces right here. And we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. The reason why it does this is because of the geometry, the way the angles that we have. So let's go ahead and click on it and just fix these, okay? We'll do this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to wireframe on all three of these views. So I got the top view, I got the front view and the side view. I'm just hitting the 4 key so I can get wireframe. And you can see that if I go into object mode and just frame it, just hit the F key on each one of these, you can see that we can get a nice frame. In the front view, here's the front view, so I'm going to tap the space bar, and now we can see it. So one of the things when you see me fix these areas, so I'm going to do one and you guys can do the rest. I'm going to go fairly quickly, so I'm going to right click, go to vertex, right? And we're just going to place these points. Okay, I'm marquee selecting. Okay, you see how I'm selecting them? I'm not clicking on it, I'm marquee selecting. If I could just click on it, it only moves one of the vertices. There's one way back on the other side, right? So what I got to do is I've got to marquee select it and then move it. Okay, I'm just moving them down and spacing them apart. I'm keeping them the same distance, like meaning that I'm going to take this one. I can't move it down on that one, so I'm going to move it off to the side a little bit like this. Okay, so there's a point where I can only go to. Okay, so I'm going to move that over a little bit, move this over a little bit. I got to be careful. I want to try to keep the same angle if I can. Okay, on these, that's important. Okay, all right, so that looks good. And the same thing with this one over here. As I move across, you can see what I'm doing here is I'm just going to move these out a little bit like that and just move these down. Okay, there we go. You get the idea. Alright, marquee select, move it down, get the same angle if you can. If you can. Alright, and then we're going to use that little trick I showed you. Okay, I'm going to select all the vertices, right, in the object. Okay, make sure you select all of them. Don't get any in here on the top. And we're going to level these all out so it looks more professional. Okay, I'm going to click on that, the tool, and then I'm going into move snap settings and make sure retain component spacing is turned off. Okay, I'm going to close that. Click on grid snap and pop it up, and then click off a grid snap and then move it down again. And now we have a nice clean piece. Okay, so basically we're going to do that for the rest of the pieces. Okay, that's all you have to do. Okay, for those pieces. Alright, so now everything's looking good there, and it should allow us to, we can make some adjustments of course when we're adding edge loops for the high poly. So we're going to move on to the next one real quick. Do the same thing now. We've got a lot more stuff going on here. So I'm just going to double check and make sure I deleted all the faces on these little pieces right here. And I did not. So let's go ahead and get rid of those faces in the back here. Make sure you don't select anything else by accident. That's a good idea. I'm going to hit the Q key. That allows me to get a finer selection. Here we go. I'm going to click on that guy. Shift select this one and this one. Again, I'm going to hit the 4 key to kind of see through everything. Wireframe. To make sure I don't have anything else selected. And hit the delete key. There we go. So I'm going to go back into the model. Okay, and just go ahead and do a edge loop all the way around, and then do Control E. Okay, now we can't push it down very far this time, okay, because of some of these things that are going on over here, but we need to go far enough down that we get past this if we can. Okay. Alright, so I think that's good. And you can see that we need to do some fixing, not only on this side, but on this other side as well. And that can be a little daunting if you have all this other stuff in the way, right? So we probably want to go ahead and isolate this piece. Okay, I'm going to hit the Q key, get out of this. We've done our job here. So it just doesn't look as professional as this. Okay. Alright, so what we want to do is we need to fix all of these little things just like I did here. Okay. So again, what I'm going to do is go to each view. I'm going to hit the Control 1 on this one, Control 1 on this one, Control 1 on this one, and Control 1 on this one, on this viewport. All I have to do is have my mouse over top of each of the viewports. Okay. Now from the side view, let's just start with that. Okay. From the side view, let's go ahead and start with that one. Let's hit the F key. There we go. And then hit the space bar. Right. So I'm going to right click over this and go to vertex. Now we've got a lot more interesting things going on here that we have to deal with, but it's the same, basically the same thing. Just move these around. Don't worry about what's inside here because we're in wireframe, right? Okay. So don't worry about that. Let's just kind of finesse these around a little bit. Okay. Here we go. Remember, I'm marquee selecting, right? Marquee selecting is very important. Okay. Move those down, and then try to keep the same angle on this. Move that down, and then move over to this one, and kind of keep the same angle if you can on each one of those. Okay, just moving those down like that. And these are very interesting pieces here because we have to be kind of careful not to cross them, right? So just watching, you're just doing that. And again, you can't bring that one down on top of it, so you have to bring it over here. Okay, so we've got kind of a good start on this. Okay, so alright, so that looks okay. Let's go to this perspective and take a look, make sure I didn't make any mistakes here. And we'll look at the back and see if we did anything on there too as well. And that looks all pretty good. Okay. Now we need to do this side over here. Okay. Alright, so let's go to the side, and we got a lot more work to do here. Again, the same type of thing. Okay, get that kind of straightened out. It's not hard work, it's just tedious work. Zoom out. And usually I can just click on just marquee select the vertices and hit the F key, and that will focus on them, which is kind of fine, which is nice. And let's go ahead and bring those down. Zoom out a little bit, select it, hit the F key, zoom in, and just work on the ones you need. And you'll get faster. Zoom out, select them, hit the F key, zoom in. There we go. And you just get faster and faster. There's nothing over here you can do, you can mess with right here. Okay, so selection on a long piece like this is hard. So we'll just let's move these down, this part down like that. Just all of these guys right here down to get them a little bit farther away from these pieces, which we don't want to touch. There we go. Alright, getting there. Alright, so each piece will have its own issues. So what we want to do is we want to select all of these bottom pieces very carefully from the side view. Okay, so that looks good, and then we're going to go to the front view. Okay, and those look selected. So we'll do the same thing with the snap tool, right? Don't worry about those little weird ones over here. So we're going to click on the snap tool, and again the grid snap allows us to snap up and then down. So snap up, okay, and then click off of the grid snap up here, click it off, and then move it down. Okay, and now we're kind of getting it set up like the rest of them. So I'm going to go, I think I can do Control 1 again and kind of see where we're at with this. Okay, that might be a little bit too thick, so there we go. And then of course, you know, you can go in there and make adjustments here, okay? The spacing and whatnot if you need to. That's really entirely up to you. But it has to look like this for it to properly, for us to properly add edge loops for the high poly, okay? So with that done, you just keep moving on to the next one and doing the same exact thing. So now we're going to go in here and we probably have to isolate. We got 2 more to do. So we will want to isolate this one. Let's go ahead and do that right now. And let's do it all in all 4 views. So I'm going to hit the F key in here to frame, and I'm going to hit the F key in this one to frame. Okay. Looks like isolate selects is still working, so I'm going to go Control 1. Okay, go over to this viewport, Control 1, go to this viewport and Control 1. Okay, and now we're going to go do the same thing. Now we're going to do Control 1 on this one, Control 1 in this one, like that, like that. There we go. So I'm going to hit the F key on here on each one of these. There we go. Okay, it's hard to see this. Looks like my grid is getting in the way. That's really strange. I haven't seen that. Very strange. Okay, so, and this is the one we really need. Now, I think the grid, for some reason, let's move it up a little bit. Now I can see it. So it's okay. I can move it up a little bit so I can see it. The grid was getting in the way. That I've never seen that before. But I'm just going to move it out of the way a little bit. There we go. Okay, so from the front view, it doesn't really help us. It's this side that we need to work on, right? Okay, so let's go into here and go to edge mode and just double click on it. This is the easy part. And then we're going to go Control E, right? And then we're going to move it down. So I'm going to go on this side just to make sure things work out. So I'm going to push it down. Now we got some problems over here. Okay, they're crossing over. Can't do that. So we got to watch that right there. So we can't go very far down, unfortunately, before those cross over like that. We don't want that to happen. Okay, that's really important. So let's go to the side view, and then we got to start making our changes. Okay, pretty simple again. We're in the side view, and I'm just gonna go in here. And if you're something like that, you can just click on that section you'd like to look at and hit the F key. And then from here you can hold the Alt key down and move in, or just use your middle mouse button. Sometimes the middle mouse button is really finicky. Okay, so sometimes I like to hit the F key and just hold the Alt key down and use my right mouse button, and that gets me closer. Okay, so it's doing a marquee select like we've been doing, and we're in wireframe so we can see what we're doing. Same thing like that. Zoom out, select a section. You can select a bigger section if you want to, F key, and we can move these all together, meaning that we can just kind of go in here and start moving these around. Now we have to move these out of the way just a little bit so we can make room for these like this. There we go, like that. Pretty simple. Move that out of the way just a little bit. Keep that angle though. Can't move it too far out of the way. And just bring these down. Okay, they just can't be on top of each other. And let's just keep that same angle here. Okay, the best we can. And then zoom out a little bit, and let's go to the next group. And I'm just going to move that over and this over. Again, it's just tedious work. You know, once you know what you need to do, it's just tedium. Okay, move that down like that. Move this down like that. That's a big piece here. And what we want to do is we want to bring everything kind of at this level, the largest piece level. Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these guys right here. Be very, very careful because we're really far away. Zoom in. We just want the bottom part. Yep, that looks good. I'm just moving over, holding down my Alt key. And now I'm just going to move it down like this. Right, so very careful. Right. This is going to be the hard part because we've got such a small selection here. So I'm going to go ahead and select these guys here. Do not select those inner ones. Do not select these guys, just the bottom part. And now we can go ahead and hold the Control and Shift at the same time. That adds more selection. We'll go across right to here. Okay. And now you can see that we have got that all those pieces selected properly. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to snap it up and then snap it back down again. So I'm going to click on the grid snap. Okay. And if you double click on this, you should have the move snap settings to off. Okay. Close that. And we're going to snap it up and then snap it back down. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and click off and then make sure we move it down below this piece here. Okay. That's a big piece right here. Alright, so this piece might be a little thicker than the rest of them. That's okay. So that looks good. Okay. Alright, so that's okay. Now there might be some instances where, because we have that down so far, we may want to move these over, right? To give it a little more room, a little more space there. I would recommend that. So some more work to do here real quick on these guys. Okay, if we can do that. Can't do it on this side because they're too close together. So there's some things I need to work on here. These cannot cross. This is kind of a difficult area right here. But do the best you can. Like these guys, we can spread out a little bit more. You know, but we're going to keep them basically the way they are. I think they're okay. Alright, so if we do have issues, we need to spread them out when we're doing the high poly, because you can see that these are spread out. And we'll just ignore it for now until we get to the part where we need to actually do the high poly. So let me do control. Let's get them back here and here. We'll do control 1 here in this viewport, control 1, this viewport, control 1, and then control 1 in this one. There we go. So now we got that done. That one's finished. Alright, so another one. Same thing with this guy right here. Okay, go to edge mode. Okay, double click. Now I'm going to go around here, and I think I did get everything, all those little pieces. Yep, that looks good. So I'm going to double click on this outside piece. Okay. And we're going to watch the little pieces here that are close together. That's going to be a problem spot. So I'm going to go Control E. Okay. Let's make this a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing. And move that down. Again, we can't cross over, so we can't go very far with the little pieces that are close together. Alright, so that's about as far as I can go. Alright. Okay, so that's good. Let's go to Object Mode. And let's go ahead and get this set up for all 4 views. Okay, so hit the F key, F key, F key, F key on each viewport. And that sets it up. And we're going to be actually working in the side view. Okay, so I honestly, well, this view too, I guess. We got some areas here too as well. These 2 guys right here we need to watch for. Okay. So if we can't see it, I'm going to isolate select now. So I'm going to just hover over this, hit the Q key to get out of that. Hover over this, go to Control 1, Control 1, Control 1. I'm just hovering my mouse over it, Control 1. And now we can see a little bit better what's happening here. Okay, so here are the issues we have. This one's going to be a little tougher, but we're going to do the same exact thing. Okay, so I'm going to go into vertex mode. So I'm just going to now, I got to kind of figure out where these are from this side here. So what are these? Are these the bottom? Yeah, those are the bottom. So let's get those. Okay, those are the bottom pieces. And so I just want to make sure I select all the bottom pieces for now, just to get. We've got some issues here with this, so we're just going to move these down. Okay, and then fix them, because they're kind of, this is going to be confusing if we don't do this, and we don't want confusion. So I'm just selecting those pieces here. You can pause the video. This is where it gets a little bit weird here. I'm not exactly sure what's happening here, but let's go ahead and marquee select select these, and then marquee select those, because I'm not exactly sure. Let's go around and find out what's going on here. So bottom, 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 that's good, bottom, bottom, good, bottom. Okay, bottom on here, but we got some of these selected. That's not good. I'll show you how to do that. That's good, that's good. Those are all good. Okay, so the issues we're having is that we're accidentally selecting vertices on the inside. We don't want to do that. So I'm going to go to the top view, and you can see where these vertices are. They're right here in the corner for some reason. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the control key and marquee select just that area there. Okay, all the rest of them are fine. Alright, cool. So now we're going to go in here, and we're just going to move it down so we can work with it. Okay? Just so we can work with it. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I moved it down below this point. I'm going to start over here. Okay? So this one's going to be pretty thick. We can always move it back up again. So let's take this vertex and move it down, right? This vertex and move it down. These vertices and move them down. Hopefully we're doing okay. And select these guys, move them over. Okay, select this guy, move it over. Okay. Select this guy and move it over. Select this guy, and I think we got to move it in. This one needs to be moved in. It's hard to tell with this. This one needs to be moved in, unfortunately. Like that. This one needs to be moved out, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. And we'll double check all this stuff. This one needs to be moved out. Like that. And we're good there. Okay, you can see what's happening. It gets a little confusing because this is a pretty intricate piece here. Let's double check everything, make sure nothing's crossing. Now you don't want something like this. That's bad. So what you see here is good. You can see if it's bad. See, if you did this, see that crossover right here? That is bad. Okay, so we need to bring that back again. See, so you can tell which direction you need to go. Okay, these up pieces here, these need to go in. They can't go out, they need to go in. So that's good there. That piece is good here. But at this point, you can probably move that out a little bit, like that. So it gives you a little more freedom here to move these, space these a little bit in a little bit like that. There we go. Just kind of space those a little bit better. And this one's a little harder because we got this part should go way over here to give you more space, but you can't really do that. You can't overlap these vertices. Okay, go back to this one. This one looks good. Let's rotate it around, see what the heck's going on here. It looks like I missed one. So we can do this by hand, right? Click on this one. Just make sure you don't select any other vertex and move it over, just like that. Select this one and move it over, down and over. Okay. Just kind of going around here. Okay, there we go. And everything else looks pretty good. Alright. Alright, so this piece will be a little bit not this thick. So let's go in here and let's move these up a little bit more. So the idea now is to select the whole entire bottom piece, okay, like this, and grid snap it up, and then click off the grid snap, and then move it back down again, and we just need to move it so it's just a little bit below this guy right here. Okay, so let's take a look at your piece, and that looks like we did okay. Looks good. And any other issues that we may have, and I'm not sure what's going on here. What is this? Something happened here. Not sure about. Okay, yeah. Alright. So I got this vertex accidentally selected. I don't know what I did, but I did didn't do a very good job over here. There we go. I don't know why that went all the way across, but it did. So I made a mistake there. And I think I made a mistake over here too as well, so I need to kind of, there we go. Okay, so that now it's working. Now it's fine. Click on this guy and move it back up again to this. So I made a mistake on that, and that needs to be flattened out a little bit. So let me select these two vertices, because I kind of messed up here on this one. And you probably did too, since you were following me. Okay, so now I'm going to go to that area there and find out what I did wrong here. I'm going to go in here and just move that up to here, and then let's take this vertex and move it back over here, and this vertex and move it back over here. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at it now. That looks right. Okay, well, I was able to fix that. Sorry about that. That's my fault, and I think it's still going down a little bit too much, so I'm going to marquee select these, move it up to follow that depth here. So there it is, right there. Okay. Alright. Make sure we have depth on everything. We can always fix these little things like this. You know, there's some strange things going on here we can fix, and I'm going to fix those myself. And then what I'm going to do is make sure they're all level across here. I don't want to see stuff like this. So basically I want this part here, these two pieces, to be level all the way across. So I would do something like this, right, to make sure everything's level. Okay. So that's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the video, get all this done. So I'm just going to move everything so it's all, you know, the same all the way across. Okay. And I'll show you what I've done. All right. So we're also going to get rid of all this weird stuff here, right? So to do that, just the outside part here. To do that, I would bring everything up, right? And make it level. Okay, here we go. And we talked about how to do that. You remember that? How to do that all at one time, right? So what you can do to create a piece that is level and looks really, really good, your pieces, especially if you're going to, you know, put it on the marketplace, you want your models to look good and smooth and even. So what I would suggest is, what you can do is, you don't want to move anything from the bottom, just the top part. So on here, we would select all those vertices, and we want to snap them to one spot. So I'm going to click on the grid, and here's a little tip. I think I showed you this before. Double click on this guy, and we want to go to Move Snap Settings and turn off Retain Component Spacing. Okay, what that's going to do is it keeps it from snapping. It forces it to snap one way. So I'm going to do that. So you can see it snaps perfectly, and then I'm going to click off the grid snap and then move it down where I want it to be. Okay, all right. So now that one's snapped, and you can do that with the rest of these, like these guys right here and this piece right here, to be level with everything. So I would take all these, right, from this piece here, and I want everything to snap back. I don't want to have that little creak in there. I want it to be one flush piece. Okay? So to do that, I would turn grid snap on again, make sure retain component spacing is off, and then move it over. Okay, there we go, like that. So they're all snapping. Okay, I probably want to do that for the other ones too as well. Let's take a look and see what I got with this. Here we go. So that looks pretty good. We just need to make sure we include these two as well. So I'm going to go Control Z back, and let's do these two. So hold the shift key down, select those, and let's go ahead and snap those back. There we go. And then snap them back. There we go. And then what we're going to do is find a spot that we all want them to be, and let's say right about there. Okay, so now we have this piece finished. Okay. Alright. Alright, for some reason I forgot to cut this part out, so I might have to go in here and make some adjustments to this, because this top piece should have been separate, this right here. So I think in another video I'll show you how to get rid of, cut that apart. It's pretty simple. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean up these parts right here, and I'm not going to talk while I'm doing it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Okay, so you can keep track. You can watch me do it, or you can speed through. So anyway, I'm going to fix all the rest of these pieces. Okay, all right. Should go to select and components. Let's see, convert selection to vertices. There we go. That's what I wanted. And let's go ahead and snap those up from the side view. There we go. Perfect. Do the same thing with this one. Convert those edges to let's see, convert. Where are we? I always get stuck. Convert. There we go. Vertices. And we'll snap those up. Grid. There we go. And then click on grid again, and then move that down so grid is off when you're moving these around. There we go. That looks good. And that makes for a nicer piece. If you go out and you want to sell your pieces, you want your pieces to look nice and clean. Don't want any really weird, bizarre edges on it. I'll just convert those selection again. Vertices. Hit the grid snap on up there at the top, and then snap them up, and then click it off just to bring it down again like that. Okay, so we've got some nice the ceiling pieces are completed, and now we just need to do the back pieces, right? Now this one's a solid piece. You can tell it's solid. So what I can do is I can take the back off. Probably a good idea. So just cleaning up here, and I got to be very careful not to select anything from the front. Okay. So mainly we're just kind of cleaning things up so we don't have to do this later. And so we can make everything pretty much even, consistent. There we go. And I'm going to hit the 4 key. The reason for that is I'm able to see through the object and see anything else in here that I might have selected by accident. Because sometimes hitting the 5 key, you can't see the bottom and you may have missed something, so you have to be really careful. So let's go ahead and delete that. And just look around on your model, because now's the time to find issues, like just very carefully look at it, make sure you didn't select any faces or anything, and you got rid of anything else. There we go. Alright, with this piece, the same thing. We want to bring everything back, so let's go ahead and click on the edge. That's about the easiest way to do it. Select this edge and it goes all the way around, and then you just convert your selection to vertices, and then click on your grid snap, hit the W key, and that should snap it. Okay, and then click on grid snap again and just move it back where you want it. You don't want to go past your other vertices, so be careful how far you go back. Okay, there we go. And pretty soon we're gonna set up a standard here all the way in the back here for all the backs, so don't worry about it right now. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. Edge mode, again, select component, convert selection to vertex, and then go through this whole process. Let me see if I can close that down a little bit. Nope. Grid snap on, pop it out, turn off grid snap, and then bring it back. There we go. Bring it back. There we go. Something like that. Just try to keep them about the same. We'll fix that later. Okay. Go to selection mode. And then the last one here. Go to edge mode. Double click on the edge. Here we go. Selection. Convert selection. And then do the same thing. Grid snap on. Pop it out. Grid, and then turn grid snap off. And then just kind of ease it back in again. And kind of get them lined up. There we go. So that looks a lot more professional. Okay. And that's really looking nice. I think we're good with the bottom tiles are already done. I don't have to do those. The top tiles are done now. And so that is fantastic. I'm very happy with what we have done so far. And this is a good place to stop at this point.